Hi, welcome to this session where we discuss a bit of real estate. They say real estate is real, and it's interesting that we all have this inbuilt desire to settle down ourselves and our families in a home. I'm sure that's a conversation you've had yourself. Probably you've actually set out that as a goal for the year 2023. But then it's important that we look at a few things that I believe and think should be guidelines of actually owning your first home. And these I talk from a personal experience, from I have done point, because at the age of 29, I bought my first home. And therefore, I know what happened thereafter is a whole other story. And so I feel there are rules or there are guidelines that should just enable you make a better decision around buying your first home. Don't just wake up and say, it's time for me to buy my first home. You need to actually spend some time in making that decision. Why do I say the decision about buying your home is important? Because it's a long-term decision. It has a long-term consequence. It has a long-term effect on your finances, and subsequently either as a commitment, as a lump sum, or as a lump sum purchase. So we're going to discuss some 5 or 6 pointers that will just enable us to think better or just plan better around owning our first home. I actually want to say that I'm convinced that wherever you're buying your first home, this is not your dream home. So there are a lot of things that you can actually overlook when you're doing your first home, because this is not the place that you probably won't retire in. This is not the kind of place that you'll be spending probably in the next 15-20 years. It's just a place that gets you settled, more so when you're actually bringing up a young family. And so what are some of the things that I think are important? I have not arranged them in the order of importance. I've just arranged them in an order that I thought would help me flow and actually make you better understand what I'm talking about. The first thing that you have to think about is your budget. How much money do you want to spend on a home? Don't break the bank. Don't stress thinking about how you are going to buy a home which you cannot afford. Kindly always make a decision to purchase a home that is around your affordability. Make a decision to purchase a home that is around your budget, that is around your income, be it from employment or from business. And that also now informs us under your budget. It should inform, how do you intend to finance this home? Do you intend to finance to buy it cash, or do you want to take up a mortgage for it, or do you want to take up a SACCO from a loan to actually facilitate that process? So your budget. Do a proper calculation. If it's a mortgage, can you afford the monthly repayments that are needed? Now, the next thing is your location. This is important, more so if you are living in an urban area, more so if you are living in Nairobi. Why? The first reason is security. I was of the conviction that when I was buying my first home, you're feeling young, hot, and you feel you want independence. So we're having a talk around, mimi najifungulia gate yangu. I have my own gate that I open when I come home. Little did I know that could actually be one of the biggest undoing. So I actually thought about it and said, you must purchase a property that is in a location that is secure. You must purchase a property that is in a location that is actually secure, that is accessible, that you do not want to get to 10 p.m. and you cannot access your house. Yeah, so that's point number 2. The location becomes very important. The third thing is actually, this is my personal conviction, is that your first home must be bought, not built. That is my conviction. Why? Because at the point at which you're buying your first home or building your first home, many a times you are also at a very delicate point within your career. Your career is demanding a lot of you. You have a young family. So at the same time, then you need to take a lot of time off your work, off your family, to actually oversee the construction. Unless you have enough money to actually pay a developer where you will no longer come to see the site, you just come to inspect probably over the weekend or something. But on average, the common, okay, the middle class, I would actually talk about purchasing your first house as being a good option. Now that goes to point number 2, that make sure that it's in a location where even if you are to move out of that house, you are actually able to afford to finance the mortgage that you are paying to this through the rents that come out of it, which is a delicate mix around then identifying that kind of a location. So point number 3, if you can, kindly always purchase your first home rather than building. The 4th thing is the size of the house. How big of a house do you need? Your first house does not need to be a 6-bedroom house. Does not need to even have a guest room. Then I ask myself, how many times do I go to people's house and spend? Probably in the last 2-3 years, probably once or twice. Now, it's the same thing. Who do you think will be coming to spend in your guest room? At times it's just an ego aspect. At times it's just we want to fit in with what is trendy, with what our peers are doing. Therefore, I think that I'll have an extra room as a guest room. No, it doesn't have to be much big of a house. One of the things that my dad told me, he brought us up in a big house, many bedroom. And one of the things that he told me recently is that if he knew, he would not have built such big of a house. But then what informed his decision to build that big house is because when we were growing up, they lived in a small house. And therefore he had said that he will never want his children to actually grow up in an environment like the one he grew up. And so for him, he was saying, it was a mistake on my part, but I feel achieved because I gave you guys a better life than what we got. So for you today, and when I talk to him, he tells me, if there's a way that he would actually have built a 2-bedroom house, he actually thinks that would have been enough. But again, you understand, all of us are grown up, we are now left, we are now living home, everybody is living their own life, so it's just mom and dad at home. So now, of course, the house feels a bit too big, a little bit too empty, and you can understand that feeling. So the size matters. Don't just over-exaggerate. That money can go into other investments that will give you more value. Do not build unnecessary bedrooms that you will never even spend, or you will not have children. And bearing in mind the size of families that we are having nowadays is 2-3 children. Unlike me, who has got many children, so it doesn't have to be that big. So the size is also something to consider. The 5th thing is the ability to expand or remodel that house. At one point, you may feel that you want to leave that house, you want to leave that area, so you must be able to remodel it so that if you probably want it for rental, it can accommodate a tenant, or it can be used for another purpose that anybody else would feel that it's important. The other thing that we've mentioned about, probably that could be number 6, is the family size. What's your family size? If you have a small family, you do not need a big, mansion, or, you just need a sizable house that accommodates you. You need a house that actually makes you feel warm. You need a house that makes you feel together as a family. And the 7th point is actually the possibility for resale. Your building, your house must have the ability to actually be sold and give you value. So it must not be something that ties your money down. So I hope those 7 points give you an insight into purchasing your first home. Just do your thorough check, go around, do not be in a hurry to get a house. At the right time, the right house will come. Thank you.